Hi, Sunshines. So I wanted to give you some instructions on today's assignment. This is graphing emojis. So you're going to give the center and radius for each circle equation and then graph those circles. And you're going to graph the points and do kind of a connect the dots thing with them. So I'm going to go here to our first one. So here it says x plus 13 squared plus y minus 15 squared equals 49. So that means your center is going to be the opposite of the one with x and the opposite of the one with y. So you're subtracting those numbers, so you're flipping the signs when you pull them out of the equation. So if this is plus 13, that means my center is going to be negative 13. And then this is minus 15, which means it's going to be positive 15 in here. So you fill in the center into that little text box. And then the radius is going to be the square root of 49, which is 7. So now I have a center and a radius, so I can graph that. So I'm going to go to the draw tools that are built into Google Slides. So here it says insert a shape. And I want to insert a circle. Now, first I need to just kind of like find my bearings and figure out where I'm going with this shape. So negative 13, 1, negative 13, and then I'm going to go up to positive 15. I think that's here. So I drew just kind of a little mark there. I drew a little teeny tiny circle because I first just want to make sure I'm in the right spot. So I'm going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to draw little markers at the 5s because this is just, some of these numbers are a little big and it's hard to count that far. And I keep forgetting to reselect because I'm used to drawing in GeoGebra. So yeah, it looks like that's at 13, not, yeah, so that's at negative 13. And then so there we go. Now I have little marks and that's at 15. So I plotted my center correctly. And now my radius is 7. So I'm going to count 7 in each direction from my center. So 1, 2, okay. Okay, so now I have the outer points of my circle so I can size it correctly. So now I can draw a big circle. So I'm going to select the circle shape again, and then I'm drawing a big circle that connects to those dots. I could leave it like that, but then it makes it hard to, like, I can't see the grids anymore, and that's going to get very much in the way when I try and do my next circle and my other points. So what you should do is change the fill color to transparent, or if you want to play with it a little bit, you can do custom and make it a color and then set the transparency down here so that it's, for example, pale yellow. So now I have a pale yellow circle, but I can still see the grid lines to be able to do my others. You don't have to go that far. You don't have to color it in. It's just if you felt like it, you can make it. It'll obviously be cuter if you color it than if you just leave it black and white. You are in my way. And then so you're going to do the next two circles. Those are going to be its eyes. And then you take these points and you're going to do connect the dots. So -17, 13. So 5, 10, 15, 16, 17. And then 13 is going to be, so this was 15, 14, 13. So it's going to be here. And then I'm just putting my finger on the screen while I figure out where the next one goes, so that then I can just draw the segment to connect them. If you don't feel like doing that, you can always draw like a little tiny placeholder line to show your starting point. Thank you, kiddo. Where did you put the cap? Where's the, okay. Thank you. Do you want some? So now we count out to -16. So if this was 17, then I know 16 is going to be over 1. And then 13 to 11, I'm going to go down 2. So you can count it that way. Or you can just say, so -16, so 15, 16, +11, so I go up to where I have my 10. And then that's going to be here. So now I can draw that segment. I can take this segment and I can, move the end to here. So that's my first 2 dots being connected. And then you're just going to keep drawing little segments to connect. So now I want to connect that point to this one, to -15, 10, which is easier to do because I have those little tick marks. So this is 15 and this is 15 and this is 10 because I already marked those off. You could draw major axes and just take these and actually extend them all the way through your picture, so it's a little easier to see where those 5s are. And you can play around with the settings on those line. Oops, not that one. You can play with the settings on those little lines as well, and make them thicker, or it doesn't look like that's selected. Thicker or colored. Maybe I'll make them, yeah, so now they're a little thicker, so it's a little more visible. I think I added a border to the graph. That's okay. Nobody cares. So here now I have I don't need this one, but it just makes me happy to do it to all of them. But now I have those major grid lines plotted in, and I'll do the other one on top. I just copy pasted that one. If you hold control while you drag it, it'll go up, or it'll copy. And then you keep Just keep plotting the rest of those points. And so there'll be all little emojis. So like this is the mouth that we're drawing here with these points. I think this one's a tongue sticking out. So it's the mouth and then the tongue. And that's why it takes 3 little sections of starts and stops. So you just draw, you connect from here to here, then from here to here until you get down here to here, and then you stop connecting. So you're going to keep doing the points down here, but 11, 10, negative 11, 10 does not connect to negative 17, 13. So this is one clean shape. I'm going to say probably the open mouth shape. And then these two are like the pieces of the tongue or something. I don't remember exactly what this one looks like. So that's how this assignment works. I realize that I didn't really give you very clear instructions. Usually I do this assignment on paper and it goes very smoothly, but you're not I think there are instructions roughly similar to this, but maybe the wording is a little easier. And B, it's on one single graph and you're doing it with paper. So you don't have to deal with the technological aspect at the same time. I think that makes it much more confusing. I would do it probably this way. There is another tool called GeoGebra. That I believe I posted a link to in today's announcements. So GeoGebra Geometry lets you draw with geometry tools. There's a little settings button over in this corner, a little gear. If you turn on show grid, right now it says that there's no grid set to show. The settings are kind of running off the side of the menu runs off the side of the screen. I don't know why, so that's not a check mark. That's a little arrow showing that there's more. So no grid is what's selected. So then you can select major grid lines or you can add major and minor grid lines, which I think adds so that adds little tiny fractions. So you have like the fifths of a point. I wouldn't really go that far. I usually just use the major because these are all whole number points. And then you turn on show axes. Although, yes, you're going to need, for this shape, you're going high enough. When you zoom out, and especially I think your screens are smaller than mine, it's going to skip to just doing the twos. So you do want to have those minor grid lines on. So you can zoom out and then you can find and plot your shape, but be careful because with this, it's not showing those. So when you do your circle, what was the center of my circle? So negative 13, 15. So it doesn't have a negative 13. It goes from 14 to 16. So you have to put it in the middle. Negative 13. And then again, it doesn't have the odd number. So you're going in the middle of this box here. And then it was a radius of 7. So you can't count that out as well. So here I'm just zooming in and now you can see the grid line. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when I zoom back out, oops, undo, move. So GeoGebra can be a little annoying when you try and do those like move things. Doesn't seem right. Nope, I counted 7 little mini things, not 7 whole blocks. So this is where GeoGebra can really mess you up, is because it loses that like half. So when you turn on the minor grid lines, then you count those instead. So let's go back to major grid lines. So that's centered, and then you go 1 half. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if you zoom back in, you can see a little bit more easily where that And if you shift it around, it'll like try and snap it to a whole number point. You have to keep zooming in if you're dealing with an odd number, which is a little bit annoying. But here, once you have your big circle, then you can zoom in so that you're on the halves again while you plot all of the other points. But again, it gets a little bit confusing. So this is probably not the ideal thing to use, but it is a good tool in general. So I wanted to show it to you while we were at it. This is what this is what I used to make the dilations video yesterday. And I will use it a lot for most videos that are about graphing because it's not that the controls are not always that intuitive, but once you're used to them, you start getting the hang of it, and it's a lot better than me trying to draw circles. So and I use this to draw like a lot of the pictures in your assignments. I drew them in GeoGebra and then took screenshots of them and pasted them in. Obviously, I do those without the grid lines. But so yeah, that's your assignment and a little intro to using GeoGebra.